Have you ever looked at what's coming in and what's going out and thought, I just can't get ahead no matter how much money I earn or how much of a budget I try and keep in place? In today's video, I'm going to look at ways that you can easily save yourself some money right now. I recently went through this exercise myself and was able to save at least 50% of the costs in my personal life, as well as over 50% of the costs across my businesses. Now, these are the strategies that I've put in place recently, and I think if you start to have a look at this stuff, you'll be able to start creating a surplus. You'll have extra money to spend on lifestyle. You'll have extra money sitting over that you can invest. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about, which is not really talked about often, is your phone plan. Now, I always thought if I was with Optus or Telstra or Vodafone, I'd just be stuck having to pay $100, $130 per month to own the handset as well as the plan that I was on, which I needed for my businesses. But the reality is recently I found out that I could actually buy the phone outright at a pretty affordable rate, and then I went to Audi Mobile after my brother recommended them. That's Audi who does food, and these guys have just got into mobile, and for 45 to 65 bucks a month I can get unlimited text, data and calls. So it's a huge saving. It enabled me to save over 50% on my regular phone bill, and because I own the handset outright, it's month to month. I don't have to go into any sort of fixed plan type thing. The second thing that I've saved a huge amount of money on in recent years is my cars. Now, I don't believe in buying something unless you can afford to pay for it with cash. The asterisk there is if you own a business and it's obviously advantageous from a tax perspective to get a car loan, then consult with your accountant or financial planner. But whether you can afford to pay it off outright or not, I truly believe for the average person looking to save money, one of the easiest ways is to look at the car. Now, it's just not the interest you're paying where you can save an absolute fortune if you were to pay it off. It's also the type of car that you drive. Now, whether you're driving a Merc or whether you're driving a Toyota, the reality is that certain cars perform a lot better. Certain cars are much cheaper and more affordable to run as well as service, and that can be a huge way that you can rip the costs out of your life and actually start moving ahead in the right direction, particularly if you're wasting money on car loans, which you don't need to be paying interest on right now. Now, the third one that I recently looked at is electricity. I always just sort of went with one of the big boys, your AGLs, your Origins, but recently I moved into a home or bought a home that I plan on staying in for a long time. So the first thing I did is I went out and put a solar system on the roof, which now basically completely covers my electricity. I then switched over to a company called Click, which on top of what you'd normally get as a discount from one of the big boys, they give you an extra 30% discount on top. So very, very, very affordable electricity as long as you pay on time. And then the solar is just the cherry on top in that. So there's a huge opportunity with electricity prices getting sky high in Australia to save a huge amount of money from that perspective. I worked out that it would take me under 2 years to pay off my solar system just on the energy that I save from running my pool, from running my shower and all the appliances in my home. Now, the fourth thing that I wanted to touch on, which I've recently moved towards, is just not buying shitty takeaway food. I've started to, I love eating out, like it's one of my favorite things in my life, but I've stopped just buying the crappy food that doesn't make me feel good, 30 minutes after I've eaten it. And I've focused on, when I am eating out, buying quality stuff that makes me feel really good, that I can enjoy the experience of eating with. So if you take out those shitty foods from your diet, whether you only eat it once a month or you eat it a couple of times a week, you'll be surprised how much you can save, and that money over time can be invested so that you can create a passive income stream for the rest of your life. Now, the fifth thing I wanted to touch on is rent. I know right now in Sydney and Melbourne particularly, the price of renting okay accommodation, in fact most of the time it's shit accommodation, is sky high right now. Now, that's extremely challenging if you're living there. I also know in Sydney and Melbourne there's this culture of appearing like you're doing really well financially. When I talk to a lot of the investors down there, they are actually on paper earning great money, but they're just burning it all out the back door by wasting money on the things I'm talking about in this video. So what I would say is if you are looking to invest in property or start businesses, keep your accommodation if you're at a stage of life that allows you to. as affordable as possible while you invest your way out of that situation. And then as somebody else is starting to pay for a more premium lifestyle, start increasing the quality of your lifestyle. But if you're living hand to mouth or week to week or month to month, it's going to be really difficult to not end up with any other scenario in the future than being stuck on the pension. So look at your rental accommodation, look at ways that you can stop trying to keep up with the Joneses or your mates and live the life now, and go back to something that is more modest and more reasonable so that you can start prioritizing your long-term financial independence over the short-term way that you're coming across the people that you don't give a shit about. Now, the sixth thing that I wanted to talk about is interest, and this is where I was able to save myself over $20,000 just on my home and investment property loans in the last year. Now, banks in Australia right now are fighting for every piece of business they can possibly get. And if you haven't looked at your home loan interest rate in the last 12 months or the last couple of years or on one of your investment properties, I would guarantee you could almost save yourself 1% interest right now. So check out the interest rates on your home loan, talk to your bank and call them up and say, unless you reduce my rate, I'm going to look somewhere else, or talk to your mortgage broker and get them to go out and find a better rate for you. That's the same with your investment properties. That's the same with your car loans. That's the same with your credit card loans. If you're paying interest on credit cards right now, you can immediately go to another bank. They'll take you over if you're the right candidate, and give you a 12-month, 24-month interest-free period on that card, which is extremely powerful if you're wasting 13 or paying 13 or 20% interest on your credit card. Now, there's a couple of things that I put in as part 7, which is just classified as other, because I realized there's more than 7 things that I was wasting money on that I've just realized and started to tighten up. Some of those including gym. I paid 10 to 15 bucks, even 20 bucks a week for the last 12 years on gym membership. I recently went down to Rebel and I decked out a complete home gym for under $1,000, which means within 2 years' time, I've got my money back, and for the rest of my life, I've got this awesome equipment that I can keep using. So I'm thinking about long-term return on your money, not just short-term thinking. Now, internet's another huge one. Like what I talked about with energy and the phones, you don't just have to stay with the big boys anymore. There are companies that will save you 50% on your internet bill. And that's also online subscriptions with things like Spotify, Netflix, Stan, Audible. It's just too easy these days to sign up to 2, 3, 4, 5 different channels, and all of a sudden you're paying 50 or 100 bucks a month in online subscriptions, which you're not even using half of them. So check out where you are from a subscription perspective and try and start saving yourself a bit of cash. But there's 7 different ideas and ways that I've been able to save some money lately. Some other cool things that I've been doing I've talked about in other videos. So if you'd like to check out those, please subscribe to my channel. If you've got a video that you'd like me to if you've got a video you'd like me to If you've got a particular video you'd like me to shoot, please chuck it in the comments section below. We also have a podcast where we talk about property investing and business, which is the Pumped On Property Show. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. Really appreciate your time and attention, and just remember that you can absolutely control where you end up in the future, but controlling where you end up in the future means paying yourself first before all of these expenses in your life, reducing these expenses so that they're in a more meaningful position, and then investing that surplus money in whatever it is that you think is best for you long term, or at the advice of your financial planner or accountant. So thank you for your time and attention. Good luck with your investing. Save yourself a shitload of money. Get off this video, call all of these people, and do what I did. Save yourself 30 to 50% without stressing on it anymore. Cheers, guys.